Like mentioned, this is going to be about TinyGo. So we had the great presentation from Ron yesterday evening, kind of mentioning TinyGo along with other uses for Go. But this will be more of an introductory talk to TinyGo and how you can get started, especially with pet automation if you happen to have a pet. So a little intro to myself. My name's Josephine Winter, or Josie. My GitHub handle is JOZR for code snippets related to this talk and other things. I'm a software engineer currently at a company called Company Can. No advertisement, but yes, we are hiring. I do mostly back-end programming, although I've done a bit of everything, front-end, mobile. And like mentioned, I'm kind of coming to Go from Ruby, from TypeScript, from these languages. And I got curious about embedded development. And I also have a tiny dog, which is really important for this talk. So he should have his own slide. This is Frank Uva. He's a 2-year-old terrier with a lot of energy still. He loves cats. Cats do not love him. And he hates anything to do with getting clean or grooming, so that's not been easy. And my motivation for this project was basically that I had some Arduino boards collecting dust. How many people in this audience have Arduino boards? So yeah, quite a lot of people. And who's actually used TinyGo for their Arduino projects? Okay, just a few. So actually, this is a great audience. And yeah, I imagine many of us have like microcontrollers kind of laying around that we plan to do something with, maybe haven't done something with yet. I'm sure we all have random building materials. I'm sure all of us have experience as programmers. And you probably do have some routines or some ideas that you have kind of floating in the back of your mind. So this is like your call to action. You don't need much to get started. Okay, so just a recap of what is TinyGo. TinyGo is actually a compiler for Go based on LLVM. I won't go into details here, but LLVM is basically a toolchain for compilation, and other languages use it as well. So TinyGo targets microcontrollers and WebAssembly, as mentioned yesterday, but today I'll just be talking about microcontrollers, specifically Arduino. TinyGo supports most Go features, but some of it works a little different under the hood. And yes, it's compatible with many microcontrollers. And for more context, visit the TinyGo website. It's great documentation. Okay, so why use TinyGo when you're working with Arduino specifically? Well, the first thing you'll come across when you buy an Arduino is that kind of when you install it, you'll have like the Arduino IDE probably prompting you to use C, C++ with the Arduino API. This obviously has the widest board support because it is Arduino, built by Arduino. And yeah, it's very optimized and very quick. You also have MicroPython, which I'm sure quite a bit of you have heard of. This language supports more higher-end boards, but it's super beginner-friendly, right? Like even if you don't have programming experience, it's quite simple to build things in Python, so it has that going for it. But the interpreter does increase program size on devices. I should mention that there is a kind of a cool language called CircuitPython by Adafruit, which is kind of growing, and this should address some of these issues with MicroPython. But yeah, we also have TinyGo. So this has growing board support. It's Golang, and yeah, lots of potential. So just a quick comparison of the kind of like basic LED program in C++ with Arduino API, MicroPython, and TinyGo. As you can see, the syntax for the first two programs is pretty simple to understand, as well as TinyGo. But you have kind of like these these binary memory differences. And then also with MicroPython, you have the interpreter, which can bloat. Great. Okay, so just recap once more, why TinyGo, familiar syntax. You have these cardinal features, great standard library support, smaller binaries. And I think what's important to point out is that if you're doing kind of big projects where you might have home automation, you're building out a web server in Go, then you have TinyGo Arduino boards working, it's really nice to not have that context switching of building out something in different languages. So I think that's really cool. Okay, let's do a live demo. Yes, so right here I have a Arduino, let's see, Arduino Nano, very small Arduino board. And I'm going to attempt to install the very simple LED program. Okay. Oops. So first thing is, okay. So first thing is to search for your device. So this will be in devices, and you'll see there'll be a USB mentioned. Great, so that's where it's located. And then making sure you have TinyGo installed. You can even see the LLVM version here, which is cool. And then it's going to be as simple as flashing a program. So here's the program we have. It is a kind of just turning on and off an LED. The digital pin number is 13. Yes, and it's just basically, let's turn it off, let's turn it on. So let's go ahead and get this onto the Arduino Nano board. So do TinyGo flash, and then target is going to be a supported board, which is this board, Nano 33. The port is going to be what was mentioned. I think it's 101. Let's see. Yes, and now we can see a blinking light. Okay, very simple. One more thing I want to show is that you can also screen the output here, which is super helpful for debugging. So you have this, which is, yeah, helpful. Okay. All right, so let's get into the project. So the first project I had was creating a kind of a lock on a door for a kennel. So my dog sleeps in a kennel at night. This is very helpful. And basically what I wanted is to be able to shut the door and have it open automatically in 9 hours. So basically allowing me to sleep for 9 hours. And then my dog is my alarm clock. I also needed the door to open at the press of a button and close. And I wanted it to be powered through batteries or wall outlet. So the supplies were really simple, things basically I found around the house, along with some wiring. This is an Arduino Uno board, very standard. There's a servo. You can buy these online cheaply. There's a button, and then, yes, glue, tape, and other tools. So the schematics for this was also pretty straightforward. You have a servo attached to digital pins along with the button. And everything is powered through the Arduino board, so no need for external power sources. Okay, so here's the kind of TinyGo code. What's really nice to point out here is that we have a servo driver package, which makes it really easy to interact with different modules, different components. And setting up a servo driver is really simple. You just give it your pin as well as the pulse width modulation. And we also have the button to open and close the door attached to the button pin, digital pin 2. Okay, so basically to kind of open and close, the servo has a range between 0 and 180 for the angle. The button state is going to be high or low, true or false. And basically, if the button is pressed, we want to open or close based on what the last state was. And yeah, so this is sort of the code here. Another thing to point out is that you have this infinite loop, right? So the firmware is always running constantly on these devices. And you also have access to standard packages. So we have time here. So the last conditional is basically, you know, if the door has been closed for more than 9 hours, then open the door. So we're keeping track of that time there. And then finally, at the end of this like kind of infinite loop, just leave a little bit of buffer time so that the board isn't overloaded. So you'll always kind of see this time sleep or delay at the end of every program. Okay, so this is how it turned out. You can see very simple components, even like the tiniest screw inside of a popsicle stick, and it all works quite well. And I'll give a demo of this. So why it works is because he's quite gentle, so he'll just sort of nudge the door open, so there's no need for like a huge bolted lock. He can't figure out that maybe he could escape. So he'll just nudge the door open once it gives that little noise. But yeah, this is me sort of opening it for him. Okay. Okay, let me get to the next slide.
Watch it again.
Okay, some tips from the first project is basically, make sure you're monitoring the serial output, use a lot of print statements. Also use physical signals, right? So use LED kind of blinking as a good signal as well. Breadboards are great for preliminary design. And there's also this great website for TinyGo. I found a few bugs with this, but this is a really cool setup and could help you with your projects, as well as some other schematic programs. Okay, and then I have another project, which is basically food dispensing. So as you see here, there's a food dispenser that works basically using gravity. My goal was to release dog food twice a day and disable the food release if there's no food available, and again, powered by a battery or outlet. So kind of the same supplies, except here I'm using an Arduino Mega board. Has much more memory and many more digital pins. I have a real-time clock module, which allows you to keep track of time even if the board turns off. It has its own battery. I have a light sensor, which I will use to determine if there's food in the container, right? If it's dark enough, if it's bright enough. Servo, and then other tools I used before. The schematics for this is a little more complicated, but you have the servo as before, you have a light module, light sensor, and all of these are powered by the board again. So sometimes for different components you will need an external power source, but yes, for these it was possible to use just the 5 volts. And then you have the clock module, which is hooked up to quite a few of the pins. Okay, here is some kind of code to show you how you would configure such components. You have a clock driver, you have I2C driver. I2C is for serial communication, and so basically you have to set that up first and then pass that to the clock driver configuration. And then the light sensor is using an analog pin, which allows you to have a range of values. So digital is sort of on, off. Analog will give you a range of values, which is useful for like determining a range of brightness. Yeah, just one kind of like quick thing is that what's nice about these drivers is that it allows you to sort of test the code, right? Like instead of kind of mocking this all out, you have this ability to actually just take the package and mock it, which makes it much easier to test in my experience. Yeah, and then let's go over kind of snippets of the logic. So you'll kind of set up and configure the components and then basically get the darkness. So if the darkness is over a certain value and it's feeding time, you should open the door to the food dispenser. Then this, oh yeah, so this piece is just showing that if you aren't using like a servo driver, you can also configure these components on your own. Like you don't need to use the drivers if you're kind of running low on memory. You can also kind of implement this on your own. Yeah, and then this is the kind of result of this project. So kind of basic, and I think that he really liked it. However, I sort of realized that there are some things in life that maybe you don't want to automate. So I really like feeding my dog, and I realized that through this project it was nice, learning, but actually I want to feed him. I don't want to wake him up in the morning, but I enjoy feeding him. Okay, so tiny takeaways. I would say skip automating things you love doing anyway. So if you like brewing coffee in the morning, don't automate your coffee brewing experience. Maybe do it for learning, but don't automate everything. Before you start a project, reference the supported devices and drivers in TinyGo, because not all are supported. It is growing. There's a huge number of supported microcontrollers and components, but just make sure that you're actually, purchasing the right things. Yeah, ensure that the microcontroller memory is enough, and then also plan the mechanical aspects of your project. So as programmers, I think we can kind of get caught up in the code, but actually when you're building these like home automation projects, there's a lot of mechanical, kind of physical engineering that goes into it. And therefore, I think 3D printing could be super helpful in this regard. And then, yeah, just have fun.
Thank you so much. That was a delightful and very well executed talk. Really. Second round of applause. First time speaker.